What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Jacob Restituto, and today we are doing another Songwriter Reacts to. I am a musician myself, a songwriter myself, actually. We wrote the song. We got it pretty much right here live on YouTube, so if you want to check that out, you can. But we are doing Lewis Capaldi, Someone You Loved. I've really been enjoying these genius breakdowns where I react to these people singing, or they're singing obviously, but they're talking about their lyrics and the meaning behind the songs. I think it's really cool and something I relate to highly as a musician and songwriter myself. I think it's really cool to see and learn from other artists, especially successful artists, how they wrote their songs, the meaning behind them, and what it meant to them. So if you enjoy this content, definitely let me know by subscribing, liking the video, and commenting. Or you could text me, actually. You could text me WhatsApp, regular international WhatsApp, depending on where you're located, or regular text message, depending on where you're located. Just check the link in the description. And if you want to save 7% if you're a musician yourself by releasing your music, definitely consider checking out DistroKid with the link in my description. Let's see who we got. This is Lewis Capaldi, Someone You Love.
I think for me, getting over someone.
Quick side note, actually, this video, my reaction to Someone You Loved by Lewis Capaldi, was the biggest video on my channel for a long time. It was surpassed by a couple other things recently, but it was significantly, by a long shot, the biggest video on my channel.
And a relationship is a lot easier than getting over someone who died, I think, because at least that person's still there. But I think when you lose someone in terms of bereavement, you could just be kicking about one day and, I don't know, you see a melon and you think, oh, my grandmother loved melons. That sounds... my grandmother loved melons.
Dude, this guy has such a funny personality, man.
6 months after I wrote the original melodies, I'm in a session with friends of mine called TMS and Romans. We're just kind of messing about with this other idea that's very uncharacteristically for me upbeat and very happy. I show them that these melodies, and they're like, cool, let's work on this. This seems like it's got legs. I think it was one of them that said, you don't actually you don't have to write a song about your relationship that broke up, which sounds very simple, but once you've been doing it for 3 years, like writing about that same relationship, it's very hard to get yourself out of that space.
See, it's interesting. Like I've known a lot of artists, I've heard a lot of artists that have talked about how, like, when you do something for so long, it's like it's hard to break that cycle. It's hard to break that pattern of doing the same thing over and over again. And it's cool that he's expressing the same thing. I didn't want to
write about me again necessarily, like so directly about me and my experiences. I wanted to keep it broad for people to kind of find their own thing, because that's one of my favourite things about playing shows, is people coming up to you and being like, this is why I love this song and this is the story that it connects. Do you know what I mean?
See, that's a really interesting, and this is a tangent a bit, but I find that really interesting because there's two totally different schools of thoughts with songwriting. I think that there is the songwriting aspect where it is I'm going to write my specific experience, which I would say is a bit more Taylor Swift, Ed Sheeran kind of feel. And then, or like if you're, maybe a little the previous generations, a bit more like Billy Joel kind of feel, like Piano Man, like that song where it's like a straight up specific experience. Like, this happened, I was wearing a blue shirt, or knowing Taylor Swift, I was wearing a red shirt. Ed Sheeran was like, I was at this bar in this town, like very, very, very specific. And then there's the school of thought, which I guess Lewis Capaldi is talking about right here, where it is the whole, let me be broad so everybody can relate to this in their own way. It's specific enough, but it's not super specific where I'm talking about this specific thing and only people that have experienced this specific thing can talk about it or understand it and relate to it. But no, I'm actually going to make it broad enough where everybody can relate to it, but it's also it also has true meaning to it too, which is very interesting. And I think that is well done and well said. But I guess what proved, I think that people say, oh, you got to be vulnerable, you got to be, just straight true to yourself and tell your own story, which is true. I agree. But this also shows that, hey, you can also just go for something that everybody relates to too, and it actually works, because this song was the biggest song in the world for a long time.
And I love that. So I thought, let's write a song that's less about me, so it kind of takes the pressure off writing about, death. I'm going under, and this time I feel there's no one to save me.
This guy's voice is insane.
All and nothing really go the way you're driving me crazy. When things are great, they're brilliant and everything's amazing, and you're kind of like, it seems like nothing could go wrong, and then just over the course of like a week, things can just turn, and then you've got all this stuff like that is just so much pressure or whatever it is. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, it can just sometimes feel like you're going a bit mad without that other person there. It's harder to kind of consolidate your thoughts a bit, and it just feels like everything's a bit of a muddle. I need somebody to heal, somebody to know.
Listen to the vibrato in his voice right
It's a
there.
bit of a muddle. I need somebody to heal, somebody to know.
Oh, I thought it was here that whole time. I didn't realize it was heel.
Need somebody to heal, somebody to know, somebody to hurt, somebody to hold.
Nice.
They're bringing in this new law. I think it's at UK wide now. I'm not 100% sure on that, but we have to opt out of organ donation now. So you say I don't want to be an organ donor as opposed to yes, I'll be one.
Oh, that's really interesting. In America, you have to opt into one.
We have to opt out of organ donation now. So you say I don't want to be an organ donor as opposed to yes, I'll be one. And I was like, it'd be amazing to kind of raise awareness for these charities. It was Live Life, Give Life, and Save 9 Lives. It was cool to kind of have something else. There was another story that applied to it. It was initially a very emotional thing and not the physical aspect of it, but then you kind of start to interpret your own songs differently. It's easy to say, but
See, that's so true as a songwriter. You write something, it means something in the moment, and then later on you're like, oh man, that totally means this now to me, because things change, songs change, and I find that completely true.
It's never the same. I get so kinda like the way you numbed all the pain. You don't even know that someone being there is numbing the pain until they're gone. And then you're like, oh my God, was this just kind of lurking underneath everything the whole time? And it was just because I had this person there to kind of help me through things that it wasn't so, I don't know, piercing or so prevalent. Now the day bleeds into nightfall. I like free.
Oh, doing some gospel jaw. Look at it like that. That wasn't like mocking. That was like, I apologize if it came off like that. Gospel jaw is when you like go like with your jaw, and it's actually a type of way of creating an artificial vibrato. Now he's such an amazing singer. He probably definitely has natural vibrato, but it is a habit of some singers to create an additional extended vibrato by moving your jaw, and it's called gospel jaw, the kind of thing.
Now the day bleeds.
See that right there? When it says bleeds, he moves his jaw like that.
Nightfall. At like 3 in the morning is when I'm like best, like in terms of like I feel like I'm getting the most out, and I think it's because everyone's asleep. Plus, I think at 3 a.m. melancholy really sets in, and you just feel like, I said melancholy really weird there, but it just kind of like sets in, and it's like you kind of think about your feelings a bit more, like on both spectrums of things. So yeah, I've spent many like late nights, early mornings, just kind of banging my head against a keyboard or a guitar and nothing coming out.
See, that's funny because I'm the complete opposite. I haven't seen 3 o'clock in the morning in years. I'm the complete opposite of most musicians. I go to bed at like 9:30, 10 o'clock, and I'm up at like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning.
You're not here to give me through it all. I love going through all the motions. I still think about like a girl when I was in primary school or grade school who never held my hand at the school dance. In Scotland, you do this thing called social dancing, and it's like Cayley dancing. So it's all like traditional Scottish dances that if you do it at Christmas, and everyone, you get the inevitable people are like sliding their jumpers down because they don't want to hold hands with you, and like they're like, or they don't hold hands with you at all, or the teacher has to tell them to hold hands with you, and it's like I still relive that shit on a day-to-day basis.
Dude, musicians are highly emotional, or creative artists, whether you're a musician, a writer, a songwriter, a producer, a painter, or a poet, or anything like that. Creatives are highly emotional people, and I relate to that on a
and it's
high,
like,
high
I
level.
still relive that shit on a day-to-day basis. I was getting kinda used to being so in.
It's amazing that he was able to put, and then you pulled the rug. Like, who puts the word rug in like carpet rug in a song, and a number one song
I always
nonetheless?
write my songs 4 months after the fact. Like, or that's like roughly, like, do you know what I mean? A couple of months removed from the thing happening. Because I think when I'm in something, it's very hard to, like, as I say, like, consolidate the thoughts and be like.
See, that's very interesting, because a lot of artists say this is very interesting actually, because a lot of artists say that songwriting is their therapy, and I actually relate to this a bit more, because some artists say like, hey, I write in the moment because it's how I get my emotions out, how I process things. A lot of artists say how I process things. I am definitely not like that. I like to take an emotion after the fact and kind of explain how I felt in that moment after it's been processed. That's very interesting.
What am I feeling here? Once you've had that kind of space from the thing happening, it's like, oh, I can actually see where I went wrong in that.
That's really interesting that he's saying this, because so many artists are and like I said, just this is how I process, this is my therapy, this is all the stuff. I am not like that, actually, and it's really cool. See, this is why I love watching this stuff, and this is my first time seeing it, but this is why I love watching this stuff, because it's like, hey, I'm not alone out there. If Louis Capaldi, a #1 artist singer out there, is like this, then hey, that's pretty cool that I'm like that too. It reassures me.
Happening, it's like, oh, I can actually see where I went wrong in that, and where they went wrong, and where, do you know what I mean? How things ended. It's not just like a song where I'm like, you're a fucking dick and I hate you. I'm going under, and this time
His range is wild.
This all or nothing way of loving got me sleeping without you. I get lonely, but not more as much as everything else, and I'm very fortunate that internet porn exists, so I'm all good. But yeah, but the thing is, like, all my band and crew, they all have like girlfriends and boyfriends or husbands back at home, and it's like that kind of distance from them would be more upsetting than just being single and not having to think about it. Like, I miss like my parents and my friends and stuff, but I don't have like this person who I'm trying to like cultivate a romantic relationship with while I'm halfway across the world. So I kind of feel more
That's
for,
really interesting.
for them in that respect, although they'll probably feel for me that I think internet porn is a substitute for love. No, I need somebody to know, somebody to hear, somebody to hurt, just to know how.
His vocal control is wild.
Somebody to hear, somebody to hurt, just to know how it feels. It's easy to say, but it's never the same. I guess you kinda like the way you help me escape. In general, escaping things I don't see as a bad thing. Like, the busier I get, the more I find kind of little escapes to kind of go off and kind of switch off from things. But it's not like I'm like, oh, this is too much, I need to get away. It's just like, it's good for your, I think your sanity and your mental health to kind of just be a bit like, okay, I'm just going to switch off from that for now, and I'm just going to go off and do something else for at least, even if it's 20 minutes, do you know what I mean? Like watch internet porn.
I find that the reverb, natural reverb in this room, super interesting.
I try to close my eyes when it hurts sometimes. I fall into your arms, so be safe.
His voice is insanity, man.
Till I come back around. I kind of saw that bit as like a dream, almost. You know how like sometimes you'll have a dream where someone who maybe has passed away, or a girlfriend or whatever, ex-girlfriend or whatever, or a friend, you're just in that, you're back there with them at one of those times. When I'm really, really struggling, I'll just have to like really try and close my eyes and think back to what would you say if you were here now, or what would we have done if, we had broke up at this point, do you know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, I see that as kind of like a resolve to it, and it's like just trying to take a moment to breathe. I never thought I'd be in a position where someone was asking me about my lyrics. I would never have thought this, like, it would have got as mental as it's got off the back of it, but I'm fucking glad it has, because I really need to move it at my mum and dad's house, and hopefully we can do that at some point.
This guy is so stinking funny, man. He is very, very funny guy. I hope you guys enjoyed that. As always, you can leave a comment if you did. You can text me if you want to have any requests, international WhatsApp, regular text message number, or you can leave a comment. Definitely enjoyed it. This guy is a fantastic songwriter, insane voice, and it's cool to see the lyrics behind it. Let me know if you guys are enjoying the series, if you want to see more of that kind of stuff or this kind of stuff. If you want to check out my music, it's Jacob Restituto wherever you listen. And if you want to release your own music, definitely consider using DistroKid, save 7%, and how everybody wins. I'll see you guys in the next video. God bless. Have a great Restituto day. Thanks for joining Team Tudo. If you subscribe.